Today I'm going to teach you how to use Instantly AI. I've been doing cold email for the past 7 years, and Instantly AI has been our main tool for sending cold emails. Not only that, it can now be used to create inboxes and domains for the cold email infrastructure. Let's get into it. We start off by looking at the left side. We have the icons that separate different tabs of the application. We have the Copilot, which is the ability to set up campaigns using a chat to AI, which we don't often use just because it's not yet as good, in my opinion, as setting up manually. Then we have Super Search. There you can, search for new leads or sort your existing leads, but it's not also used extensively by us because we use other sources of leads in most cases. And then we have Email Accounts tab. This is a tab we use a lot. We have test accounts here, and they're all paused, as you can see. They were bought from Instantly. They were pre-warmed up. I'm going to discuss it in a second. So we have all the sending inboxes or sending accounts on this tab. We can see some statistics. We have the health score. Health score is just what percentage of warm-up emails landed in spam, meaning that something is probably wrong with the email. Maybe it's in block lists. Maybe it is, maybe its reputation is affected. In this case, we didn't send any warm-up emails from those accounts recently. That's why health score is by default 100%. But as soon as we start sending, it may drop. In most cases, it shouldn't if you do everything right. Then we have emails sent, meaning how many campaign, like outreach emails you send. And also we have the warm-up emails, meaning how many warm-up emails were sent in the last 7 days. Here we have the start warm-up button that we can click to start a warm-up. Warm-up is basically a system where emails that are connected to Instantly email accounts, send emails one to another in order to mimic like a real world human activity and reply into each other, because we usually don't get enough replies from our campaigns, and we need to compensate that with this warm-up where we have a very high reply rate in the warm-up pool between the accounts. I'm going to show you right now. Usually what I would do is we can work with them individually, but I would usually in most cases select all the accounts, then click bulk edit. Usually the sender name is, it's better, honestly, it's better to show on an individual level. So here we have the warm-up statistics. We don't have any warm-up emails yet, but they would appear here when you start the warm-up. You can see we have sender name, that's listed in the as the account name. We don't usually use the signature. We don't use the tags. Here we have the campaign limit. It's how many emails we sent per day in terms of outreach. When we start, we usually set it to 0. Minimum wait time between emails is usually at least 10 minutes, so that you don't send emails every single minute, which is kind of not realistic for a human being. Then we have this is all not really important. Custom tracking domain is given to us by Instantly because those accounts were set up by Instantly. And then the second important part about the warm-up is the warm-up itself. So here we have daily warm-up limit, meaning how many warm-up emails would each inbox send per day in terms of warm-up. Remember, we discussed this pool where emails connected to Instantly send emails to each other to mimic realistic behavior. Increase per day, meaning if we start from 0, like on those accounts, you see we don't have any sent, and in most cases you would start from 0. You would want to slowly increase the warm-up volume. Usually we increase it by 4, meaning on day 1 it would be 4, on day 2 it would be 8, on day 3 it would be 12, and this way it would add up until it gets to the daily warm-up limit. We usually use 40. And the reply rate during the warm-up stage, when we don't send any campaign emails, when we have 0 in the daily campaign limit, we would usually set the reply rate to 50 so that we get 20 replies per day. So the total volume is 40 when we get there around day 10. So we increase by 4 every day. We get to 40 on day 10. We set the reply rate to 50 during the warm-up stage. Now, what happens when we want to start sending campaigns? I'm going to show you the campaign setup a little later, but what we do with the account is now we have to increase the campaign limit so that it starts sending campaign emails, and it happens automatically. As soon as you increase it, we would usually do 20, and then we decrease the warm-up to 20, so that it's still 40 total. It's just now 20 warm-up and 20 outreach. At this stage, we don't really need, we can disable the slow warm-up and just, stick to 20 every day because it's already there. We don't need to ramp up. And the reply rate, because now the warm-up is twice as low, we need to make the reply rate twice as high so that we get the same amount of replies. So we used to get 20 replies from 40 warm-up emails. Now we need to get the same 20 replies, but from 20 warm-up emails, meaning the reply rate should be 100%. The settings we used previously were, I would probably even stick to those, is when we send 40 warm-up emails a day, we have a reply rate of 30%, which is around 13, 14 emails a day as replies. And then we want to get the same 13, 14 emails a day, but our warm-up limit is 20 now when we start sending the campaign. So the reply rate should be twice as high, sending 60% replies. I hope this is not confusing. The logic is pretty simple. You always have to balance the reply rate. So if you're sending less warm-up emails and you want to get the same number of replies, because you wouldn't get many replies from your campaigns, usually around 5%, so they don't really affect the numbers for replies. That's why you have to increase the reply rate so that you get the same number of replies for warm-up. I would stick to 30% reply rate during the warm-up when you're sending 40 emails a day, and then change it to 60 when you start sending campaigns and your warm-up limit is decreased to 20. I have a dedicated video about warm-up. Take a look if it's still not understandable. Other than that, I think that's all we have. Here we have a list of campaigns where this inbox is used. I would usually just select, as I said, all of them, go to bulk edit, and manipulate all the settings. I would usually just change those because everything else is set up during the account setup. Increase per day like 4. This is like what we would do during the warm-up, and we just click save. In advanced settings, I usually change nothing. Here they're not available because of the plan. This is like a test plan. This is how it usually works. Now, the next tab is campaigns. You can see we have 2 campaigns completed, just test campaigns. Let's go to the first one. So here we have the statistics, analytics, meaning how many sequences were started, meaning how many people were contacted. And then we can, below, we can see a breakdown by by each stage. So step 1 meaning the initial email, step 2 meaning the follow-up email. We can see, how many people opened. Here we have 0 because we don't track open rate in this specific case. 2 people replied. We didn't have any links. That's why we have 0 clicks. And then we also have opportunities. Here we can actually change it. What do you want to have here? We have the number of sequences started, open rate, which we don't track in this case, reply rate, meaning how many people replied from the total number of people we contacted, positive reply rate, meaning how many of those replies were positive, and the number of opportunities is basically the same as, usually it's the same as positive reply rate. We can also adjust the period so that we, get a specific dates on the graph. Then we have a very important tab. We have the leads. Leads, we have their email provider. By the way, this is a test account, but I would advise you to separate other, as I said in one of my other videos. If you have other as an email provider, just move it to another separate campaign and just keep Microsoft and Google here. Here we have the status, we have contact, city, and we also import title, and we also import subject line. I would also advise you to import subject line initially. You can see we have many different ones. This way we can iterate a lot of them. You pre-make them in Excel before importing, and they are imported together with the leads data. Then we have the sequences tab. On the sequences tab, we have our email copies. We had 2 steps here, meaning the first step was the initial email, and then the step 2 was the follow-up. If you click, you see it's covered with spin tags, and it has some of the variables. If we click preview, you can actually read a test variation of how it would actually look like, with specific subject line, specific name, and the specific version of spin tags picked, meaning it would, randomly, each time it sends an email, it would randomly pick an option after random. So let's say it sends the first email, it will pick the, let's say, would you like to attract more clients on autopilot, and then get a few extra clients in the second spin tags. Then it would send the second email, and it would randomly pick, let's say, want to grow your client base, and then in the second one it would pick bring on more qualified clients. So it would randomly go through those spin tags and select any of the versions. This way we get a lot more variation, and our emails don't look the same. And here we also have variables. So those were imported together with leads. Let's say first name we have in the leads as a separate column. We have, what else do we have? I think it's in this specific campaign is the only variable we used. And here's the second email, so we can as well preview it, see what's going on. I would just show you how we can add variables from scratch. So we have first name, signature, city, title, subject line. We can just add it like this in double brackets, or we can just type them and add something. If we want to add spin tags, it's similar, but you have to write random, then you have to split, and then you write the first variation like hi, and the second one will be hey, and the third one will be, let's say, hello. Then you close the brackets, and then you say first name. This way it would iterate, and every time it sends an email, it would send a random option from those 3. You can add more options. Moreover, I don't know if you care, but just how it works is it can be any word. I prefer random, but you can say kitten, I don't know, or a banana. Any first word in the sequence in those brackets separated from one another, it would just be used to. It would just not be used actually. So it's just a way to highlight that it's a spin tags. We usually use random as placeholder, but any word you put here as the first one in the sequence is just not used. It's there as a part of, I would say, like syntax of spin tags. This is just how spin tags is written, and all other variations would be used. We can add, I don't know, what else, like greetings, everything else will be used. Then we have first name, we can add more variables, etc., etc. We don't really need this step. I mean, we don't really need those accounts and campaigns. I'm just showing you, but nevertheless, schedule. I would usually stick to Monday to Friday working hours, because people tend to reply a lot less on Saturday and Sunday, and we already have out of office more. That's why we may potentially lose some of the results. And then timing, again, just use working hours for your leads time zone. If you have leads from different time zones, it makes sense to separate them into different campaigns. Then we have options. Here we have you see the account is not active, but this is just a test account, that's why. We can add more accounts to the campaign. The only rule I'm going to tell you about this is don't use the same sending account, meaning don't use the same inbox for several campaigns, because it's not only complicated for you, it may also break the system actually, because it thinks what accounts to use for sending, and if at the same time it would have to send to several campaigns, it may break actually. So just for you personally and for the tool itself, just separate email accounts one per one campaign. Don't use one inbox for several campaigns. Also, it's easier for you to track what we have here of daily limit. If we were to use a single inbox for several campaigns, we would really need to calculate what volume to send for each campaign. Whereas if we just use one inbox in one campaign, we can just forget about the campaign limit because we already have a sending limit on the account level. And I usually set the campaign daily limit to some crazy number like 100,000 that would never be achieved. So that because we anyway have the sending limit set on the account level, as you remember when we were changing the account settings. What else we have here is stop sending emails on reply. We need to enable it because when people reply, we want to reply to them with using our hands basically, because we don't get many replies and we should put a lot of effort into replying to them, and it makes no sense to continue the code sequence when they reply. Open tracking. Okay, what's going on with open rate? We usually disable it. Why? Because it allows us to send emails as text only, no HTML. What it means is if you click enable, it would say turn off send emails as text only, because how open tracking works, meaning tracking your open rate, is it would send what's called a pixel together with your email that would track the open rate. It's like a piece of code, meaning the email cannot be sent as plain text. It will be sent as plain text plus code. The problem of sending code is that it's suspicious, especially if you send tracking code, like a open rate tracking pixel. And spam filters would see it and may actually hurt us. Meaning, if they see that we send, normal people don't send tracking code with their email, and spam filters can see it. So I don't recommend you sending any open rate tracking. Don't track open rate. The only case I track it is, let's say we start a campaign and we get bad results. Yes, it sometimes happens. And our goal is to determine what's the reason of a bad result. Why are we getting bad results? And the first thing we usually start with is we would track open rate for a small batch of leads. We would track it for like 500 leads. This way, we don't hurt our infrastructure too much. We don't hurt our accounts too much by sending just a little bit of that volume with open rate tracking. But we get a lot of useful info, meaning we know if people even open the emails or not. In many cases, in 90% of cases, they do open emails, meaning we would get 60, 70, 80, 90% open rate. And this way we know that at least emails are delivered, our accounts are working, and there's no problem with deliverability. In case we get a 20% open rate, in many cases, it's just a problem of our emails getting into spam, not being delivered, something on the infrastructure side. When we start tracking open rate and it's above 50%, usually it's above 70%, we know that it's not an infrastructure problem. It's a problem of us having a bad copy, offering something people don't care about, or us having bad leads, meaning sending a good offer to wrong people, or both things at the same time. So open tracking can be useful, but just don't use it all the time. Use it to debug your campaign if you have something going on that's not right. I discussed daily limit. Just set it to a crazy number you're never going to achieve, because you anyway have the limit on account level. Now we have advanced settings. Let's see what we have. Owner it doesn't really matter. Time gap between emails, again, this is set by default. It's fine. The most important thing about it is, again, set this on inbox level, meaning you don't send, as you remember, you don't send outreach emails every single minute, at least 10 minutes. Max new leads, we never set it. Prioritize reaching out to, no, we don't do it. Automate testing, optimize testing, we don't do it. Provider matching, which we tested it, meaning your Google inboxes would send to Google inboxes, your Outlook inboxes would send to Outlook inbox. We tested it, but we didn't really get better results. And also in many cases, you would just have one provider in your inboxes. So we almost never use it. Stop campaign for company on reply. We usually don't do it. Why? Because it makes sense to reach out to several people in the same campaign, even if one of them already replied, because we just have higher chances of getting any results from a specific company, because people don't really know if you cold email somebody else in their company, because there was this joke, people do not come together after a work day and discuss who cold emailed them, right? So it makes sense to send cold emails to several people in the same company, so we don't use it. Stop emails on auto reply. We usually don't do it because some people would be out of office on one day, but then tomorrow they come back and we send them a follow-up and they read the follow-up. Or we send the whole sequence and then they come back and they read the whole sequence. We usually don't do it. Unsubscribe link header. Do we send the unsubscribe link header? We don't do it. Why? Because it's required only for bulk emails, like email marketing, let's say. We send hyper-personalized low volume emails. That's why we don't really need an unsubscribe link. Allow risk emails. We don't use it, and those two we also don't use. After this, we don't usually use subsequences. We just reply to people that replied to us and then reuse the leads that didn't reply. Then we just click launch as soon as this part is finished. When we launch, we start getting replies, hopefully, in most cases. We go to Unibox, and this is a place where we receive our replies. As you can see, it's like an inbox you would usually have for an email you have, but it just combines all replies we get to different inboxes in a single place. That's why it's called Unibox. So we would just have to go here. By the way, Instantly has an amazing mobile app where you can have Unibox and read replies to your emails using your phone, which is super useful. I recommend it. But I'm just going to show you how to use the Unibox. Unread messages are shown with this blue side, and when we read them, it's removed. Our goal is to go through all emails we have and first make sure that the system automatically decided the right category. So here it decided it's out of office. Let's read it. Thank you for message. I'll be out of office until Monday. Yeah, it's automatically chosen by AI, but sometimes AI makes mistakes. So I recommend you to go through all the emails and still check if the category is right. In this case, it's right, but it may be wrong later on. We have the reply. Imagine we had a positive reply and we wanted to reply to a person. We could just click reply. Unfortunately, on this account, I have a test plan, but if it was a real account, you would just reply the same way you would reply using your regular email. You just type in the reply below and click send. And you can, interact with those leads in here before you book a meeting, and after a meeting, you can share your actual primary contacts. What else we have here is, we can filter by status. Let's say you want to see only people who were interested. This way you can follow up, let's say, or just reply first to people who were marked as interested. We can filter by campaign. We can filter by inbox. And we have some other filters. We don't really use them that much. We just go through the whole inbox. We have the analytics tab, where we can see analytics across different campaigns, across different accounts for a certain period of time. It's kind of not very useful because we tend to use the campaign level analytics a lot more. But in many cases, it still makes sense to check this, brag, maybe screenshot, add to your website, or I don't know. Usually we don't use it, but it's still there. Then we have CRM. We don't really use CRM. We just manage the Unibox using filters. We have website visitors. We also don't use it. Inbox placement, we use usually other tools for it, but it's specifically for beginners. It's not really useful. Just make sure you have your health score high. You don't have a lot of bounces. Bounces, how you can check is you go to campaigns, go here, and see how many bounces you have. Here we have a lot of bounces. It should usually, you see we have total leads is 200, bounced 15 because this campaign was not tested for bounces. We use million verifier in most cases to test. I wanted to show you a bad example. Usually if we test, it should be 1 or 2%, meaning from 200 leads, we would get 1 or 2 bounces. But in this case, we didn't check, which you shouldn't do, and we got a lot of bounces. But we can also get bounces if we are, if our accounts are bad. But this wasn't the case in this case. Here we just didn't check. I'm going to film a million verifier tutorial soon, so subscribe to the channel if you don't want to miss it. What else do we have? The last thing I probably want to show you is email accounts. How do we connect accounts? If you want to connect accounts, you click add new, and we have several options. We have pre-warmed accounts, meaning those accounts were warmed up by instantly for, I think, 14 days, so that you don't have to warm up yourself. You can instantly start sending outreach. Done for you email setup is instantly setting up everything for you. You just, choose the domains, you just choose the account names, and you're good to go. They deliver, I think, in 72 hours, but usually it's like 1 or 2 days. Or you can connect an existing account that you created yourself or maybe bought somewhere. It's pretty easy to understand. You just go here, you click on the options. If you want to go for done for you email setup, those accounts in many cases may be a little worse in terms of deliverability compared to ideally setting up the account yourself. But because most people have no idea how to set up accounts properly, and it's actually very, very technical, especially if you want to do it very, very good. We sometimes go for done for you email setup. It's a little worse in terms of deliverability, but just the speed and the consistency is there. So I'll show you how to do it. We first want to type in any domain. Usually it would be your main domain, but at this point we think it doesn't really matter that much. It can be any generic domain, but let's say our main domain is banana.com. I have a separate video teaching you how to pick names for your burner domains, but here I'm going to show you how it works. It would suggest us a few options with tiny words in the beginning. I would usually not use org because .com has enough domains in itself. So if your main domain is banana.com, you would buy hub.banana.com or labs.banana.com or let's see hq.banana.com. Let's find something. Just make sure those additional tiny words in the beginning are somewhat relevant to your business. geniusbanana.com, workbanana.com. Let's say we pick, I don't know, hqbanana.com and labsbanana.com. We click next. You see we have to pay $15 per domain, $30 total. Forwarding domain is your main domain. So in our case, it will be banana.com. Sender name, this is my name. And now they've created options for us, pre-created options for us. We have Eugene. We have Eugene Levy at HQ, Levy. The problem with this is they create, those names are great. The only problem is they create 5 inboxes per domain. We usually stick to 2 emails per domain, just because all the account reputation is now seems like it's on a domain level. And if we have too many inboxes per domain, the risks are a lot higher that even if one account is flagged as, bad, we can lose all other accounts on the same domain. So we do a lot, we do less emails per domain to diversify those risks. We can just delete. Let's say we have HQ, let's keep 2 for HQ, and then for labs we would also keep 2. Eugene, Levy. Ideally, you would also have them different. I would usually just delete all of them and just recreate one by one, but it's not super important. Just make sure you have 2 inboxes per domain. I would say like Eugene for the first domain. We click add, it's added. Then we say Levy, so Eugene Levy, Levy at HQ. Okay, add for HQ. Now we want to add for labs. We remove the HQ and add for labs. Let's say EL, my initials. Or what else? We can say Levy for labs. Try to iterate them slightly. It also makes sense. So now we have 2 domains and 4 inboxes for them. And the total price, this is monthly price, $5 per domain. We have $5 per inbox. We have 4 inboxes, $20. And also we have the annual $30 for domains. We can click place order, and it would take us to a Stripe payment page. After we pay for the order, they must be ready in around 2 hours, in around 1 or 2, sometimes 3 days. Usually it was around 2 days, I believe. And they would just appear here. Similar with pre-warmed up accounts, but they're sold out. I cannot show you right now. But the only difference is you cannot give your own names, because those would be just generic accounts and domains that almost any business can use. You can select from the list of domains, but you obviously cannot select the domain. But you can select and make them redirect the visitors to your main domain. For example, those accounts were pre-warmed accounts. You can see Hyper Lead Map was the generic domain. And usually, last time I bought, they sell 5 inboxes per domain, because you can see we have 5 inboxes here, which is suboptimal. I don't really recommend using pre-warmed accounts, only if you're in a rush. And you don't want to wait until you get your main accounts warmed up. What you can do is, if they have pre-warmed accounts ready at that time when you buy, you can buy them, use them for 2 weeks until you warm up, you're done for your email setup, let's say, or you connect your existing accounts and warm them up. And then you just make a switch to other accounts and don't pay for the next month for pre-warmed accounts. That was it for today. If you have watched to this point, that's crazy. Leave a comment. I'm super happy. Leave a comment if you finished the video. If you are at this point, I'm not even farming. I'm just curious if a single person would actually finish the video. Just leave a comment. Let me know. I would be super happy. And if you have any questions, ask them in the comments. If you want to work with me, go to reachspike.com. Link is in the description. And if you have any questions, or you want me to cover any other tool, any other topic connected with cold email or B2B lead gen, feel free to drop a comment. Feel free to ask in the comments. I would definitely film a video for you. Thank you, and see you next time.